Tonight on Country Squire Radio, we're talking cold weather smoking. Now, you might be looking around and think, oh, hey, it's kind of hot outside. In fact, I went to the beach earlier today. In fact, I'm at the beach right now. Why are they talking about cold weather smoking? It's cold other places, and it gets cold other times, and it'll get cold in like a week. Just go with it, okay? It's fine. It's fine. It's evergreen.
It was on the schedule. Just roll with it.
Just
This
roll
is
with
supposed to be like the last throes of winter, right?
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
we're pretending like it's a winter wonderland.
We're in it. Plus, also, we got a pipe question of the week that has to do with crazy stories from the Squire, as well as quickfire questions and more happening right now on Country Squire Radio. Welcome to Country Squire Radio. I'm Beau.
And I'm John David.
JD!
Hey, Beau. Good evening, man.
Hey, man. Good evening to you. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. It's been it's been good. We're getting geared up for International Pipe Smoking Day. As we're recording, it's actually tomorrow.
I was about to say, so it's tomorrow as we're recording, but it'll be the day after
the show comes out.
Yeah.
That's right. So February 20th each year, 420, the illegal friends in 48 states, they get 420. The International Legal Pipe Smoking Day, we get 220, and we love it and are proud of it. And of course, I've been getting geared up for that, man. Things are rock and rolling.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that I think it's important as this is International Pipe Smoking Day is to enjoy your pipe in public, right? I mean, it's a great time to kind of to represent and showcase what you're enjoying and what your favorite pastime is. But let me ask you this: I would imagine that a lot of people are going to do what is commonly known as lunting.
Yeah, no, that's right.
And for those who are not familiar, lunting is
strolling while smoking your pipe.
It's strictly just you're chilling out, and there's in fact societies around this.
No, that's right. Yeah, the International Lunting Society is a really exciting, robust venture, man. It actually friends of the shop. We keep in pretty close contact with those guys, and I mean, it's a regular thing.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this.
Matter of fact, our good friend Cooper Miles, he is a professional lunter. At least he would like to think of himself.
he gets paid.
No, but I mean, after a long day's work, that's when it's weather's nicer outside. It's and Cooper might even be listening tonight. But it's one of those things, when the weather's nicer, he's gonna get done with his long day at the law firm, and he's going to go pick out his favorite pipe. And, I just kind of imagine him looking at his pipe rack and doing this kind of thing with his fingers, like,
which one is it going to be?
Which one? And then you go take your stroll. Yeah.
All right. So
it's good stuff.
So I'm just
good for your spirit.
I'm going to share this with you. So I was having a conversation recently with the president of the Magnolia Pipe Club, our local community here in central Mississippi and a bit beyond. And he was saying that the International Lunting Society, or and I might be getting their official name wrong, but they've been expressing interest in coming into Jackson.
They have been, and this is really exciting. We are talking at some point about maybe doing a joint event with them. And it's one of those things I would have put more energy into it for the earlier part of this year, if I weren't slaying all kinds of other dragons, and then also looking forward to getting married in only 32 days. Is that right?
32 days? Goodness, is that right?
So we're it's upon us. Yeah. So but we're excited, and we think sometime in the near future we'll be able to announce something that we are doing jointly with the International Lunting Society.
Gotcha.
So,
all right. Well, so I was actually participating in some lunting at the time I was having this conversation with the president of the Magnolia Pipe Club. I'll always love whenever we get together, because I encourage him. I was like, hey, it's been a while since we've had an election. Have you been like sneaking this under, should you just call for emergency pipe powers and declare yourself the new supreme leader of the Magnolia Pipe Club?
Occasionally pipe clubs, I think, need potentates.
Right? Yeah. And so, but we were actually enjoying some of Beau's afternoon delight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
And
that's nice.
And going through, and so it was interesting. And by the way, for those that don't know, the president himself is one Breyer, who we've mentioned on the show,
right?
A good friend of the show, a good friend of ours personally as well. And if you know Breyer, if you know anything about his pipe smoking habits, you would know he smokes his pipe a lot. Like his car, you could basically take a tamp to his car and carve out the inside.
Yeah, his car has cake.
Exactly. It's like all caked up. But
as do all his suits. One of our other customers, they know it's time that you can tell when Breyer gets his suits dry cleaned, because you can see the pinstripes again. Right, the Latakia cake that covers up the pinstripes. It's almost like those toothbrushes, where like when you can't see the middle color in the toothbrush stripe, then it's time to change. That's Briar's suit. He just knows when it's time to. Oh, he can't see those pinstripes anymore. Well, you probably need to go dry clean your suit because all that carbon buildup.
Yeah, man. So to say he's an enthusiast would be an understatement. But he's also the other thing about him. He's not a aromatic smoker, and so like getting him in, I thought, all right, if Briar hates this, that means it's probably a really good aromatic. But honestly, he said, he's like, wow, just tastes the same as any other aromatic, which I strongly disagree with.
Yeah.
But I will say it wasn't nearly as wet as I thought it would be. Like you didn't have kind of that strong syrupy or anything like that. But I enjoyed it. So I wanted to report back, having had a little afternoon delight.
Good with Briar. Nothing like having a good afternoon delight with Briar.
It was good for me. I don't think it was that good for him, but that's between us. It's fine.
Right.
It's fine.
No, that's good.
So what else is going on in the pipe world?
Well, like we said, getting geared up for our International Pipe Smoking Day sale, which starts tomorrow here at the Squire. A lot of other online retailers, they've already got their sales rocking and rolling, and ours goes live tomorrow. So from the 20th, which is Tuesday, all the way through Saturday, the 24th, 2018. Everything in the shop will be 10% off, and every pipe in the shop will be an additional 10%. So 20% off pipes, and then everything else in the shop is 10%. The pipes on our website are automatically discounted to get 10% off everything else. That includes tins, accessories, our house blends here at the shop, cigars, beard oil, things like that. To get 10% off those kind of items, you'll need to enter in the code IPSD10.
IPSD10.
Yeah, the digits 10. Yeah, IPSD 10. And that'll get you the additional 10% off. So like we talked about last week, I'm really excited about this. So if you get if you make an order of $50 or more, you get our first annual International Pipe Smoking Day blend, and you'll actually get an ounce of that for free. And the only way to get it is to make that $50 order, which is exciting. And if it's something that people wind up liking, then we might come out with it as a house blend, but we'll need your feedback on that. So I'm excited about it. It's actually it's an aromatic. It's kind of a pecan flavor. I've really been enjoying working on this, and think it'll be something that folks like if you like kind of a gentle aromatic that makes you feel warm. So it's good.
Pecan that's a good Mississippi flavor.
Yeah, no,
too.
I think so. Yeah. I thought so. Awesome. So $50 orders get a free ounce of the IPSD blend. If you make a $150 purchase in total, then you'll get a free T-shirt. We have that in maroon and in blue, and sizes medium through 3X. So just let us know your size and your order description, your order comments. And then also, if you make a $200 order, you get a free tin of premium tobacco. And just put in your order comments kind of your preferences, if you like aromatics or English blends or Virginias, and we'll do our best to accommodate you.
Man, you got deals on deals.
I know, right, man?
And if you order online, they'll put those deals on wheels and get them to you
on wheels. That's right. Not my wheels, but the federal government's wheels.
No, this isn't like the Uber of pipe tobacco. It's that what.
Our friends at this the Tin Society, they've kind of started one thing. Maybe they should branch out into
there.
Pipe Uber. I don't know,
man. The drones will end up bringing your pipe tobacco.
Right. No, exactly.
Well, man, we've got a great show ahead of us tonight. One thing, of course, we got to mention is that, of course, the International Country Squire Radio International Pipe Club is growing and going.
Yeah.
In fact, we have not one, not two, not three, but 4 new members to the Country Squire Radio International Pipe Club.
Oh, gone, man. 4 members.
4 members, all at the Squire level. Are you ready for me to count them out here? You ready for this?
Yeah. Hold on. These names look relatively simple.
These are incredibly simple. This might be the first time I don't screw up names. You ready for this?
Yeah, I don't believe it. Go ahead.
David Branche.
Dave Branch.
Also, you've got Austin. Actually, there's no way to mispronounce that one.
You can't do it.
Austin Horn.
Austin Horn.
Yeah, that's the way to say it. And Steve Heyman.
Steve Heyman. And then finally, now this one is kind of interesting. Yeah.
Satix Pipe.
SATX Pipe. Yeah, absolutely. Man, all 4 of these kind folks joining at the Squire level. of course, our Country Squire Radio International Pipe Club. And we're so honored to have you guys as a part of our family. And we, of course, do that through Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Country Squire Radio, learn more about that. But we literally couldn't do the show without your incredible support. And man, so many great ways to get involved. Squire level, the Pilgrim level, get you in the club. You can also just support us weekly through the Patreon if you just want to do it as a supporter. But really appreciate that, man. Thanks to Dave, Austin, Steve, and SATX Pipe for all your support.
Yeah, if the H was silent, it could be Orn. I could have said Austin Orn and just assumed the H was silent. Austin Orn from jolly old Austin, Texas. I'm assuming he's from Austin, Texas, because that's his name. I don't know why I'm maintaining the British. Oh, man.
Because people in Austin, Texas sound like that.
All right, man. Well, hey, so tonight we have got a fun show. We are actually diving into the world of smoking your pipe when you have got the cold weathers against you. The climate is it's been a relatively cold winter. It's been definitely one for the history books, especially here in Mississippi. We've had to contend with this white stuff that fell from the sky at one point. Actually, at 2 points over this winter.
The white death.
Yeah. That's something we're not necessarily accustomed with here down in the South.
Right.
And so at some point, it kind of became clear, like, man, this might have to be something. If this is the new normal, how do we deal with this? Unfortunately, actually, Rob Bowden wrote in and made a suggestion. He said, with all the cold weather, then all the certain pipe. Let's see. He said, with all the cold weather, are there certain pipes that should or shouldn't be smoked? If there are, ones. Let's see. Hang on. You might have to take this one for me, John David. Mike, we're going to take that one from the top. Fortunately, Rob Bowden actually wrote in with a great suggestion.
Yeah.
It was kind of a pipe question, but we decided it kind of needed its own topic. What did Rob say?
Yeah, our good friend Rob, he says, cold weather smoking. With all the cold weather, are there certain pipes that should or shouldn't be smoked? If there are ones to be smoked, is there anything that should be done differently, like cleaning and care for them? Or is there a temperature that is too low for the briar? Because if I have to be outside shoveling snow, I also need to be smoking my pipe, or perhaps smoke a cigar if I have to, which is totally understandable. Thanks. I love the show. Happy New Year from both of you. So Rob submitted this a few weeks ago, and we thought we'd put this off into February. Generally February tends to be the coldest month of winter. It was literally 82 degrees in Jackson today.
Yeah, I mean, it's going against us.
Yeah. The thing about our weather here is that tomorrow it could be 35, and the pipes could burst at the shop and at my house again. So
it's just the way it is.
It's ridiculous.
So how do you make sure when you're contending with the weather that your tobacco pipes don't burst?
I know. It was funny, I think I told the show and all our friends, I did have the water pipes burst at my house and at the shop, like I just referred to. But it's funny, as I've said that, the pipes burst at my house, and I've had to deal with that. People are like, well, did all of them burst? Like your Sheraton, did it burst, or your Savinelli's? I was like, no, the water pipes. So, when it's someone in my profession, you actually have to specify which kind of pipes burst when it's cold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But your smoking pipe actually can burst as well. So, it is getting close to the end of or the height of winter time here, and so we did want to take a look at that. And Rob's got good questions. There are things to keep in mind when it is cold weather. Just some etiquette that you can do. Keep in mind when you're smoking outside.
Yep.
So temperature changes wreak havoc on so many things, right? We talked about the freezing pipes. If you go outside at any time you're trying to crank an old car, any kind of mechanical device, a lot of times the cold just makes it difficult for things to work properly, particularly if it just gets really, really cold. We do have a lot of friends that live in New England, places like northern Michigan and Iowa. We've even got Alaskan folks, Canadian listeners and friends. And so it gets cold in parts of the world that a lot of folks wonder how can you enjoy your pipe there at all, and I of course am thinking, well, it's just a miracle where people can live these days, and of course people are listening to us talk are like, why the hell would you live in Mississippi? But anyway, that's another question.
To escape the cold.
Yeah, right. Maybe so. That might be the only redeeming factor. No, we love it. So sometimes it is just tough to go stick it out. But if you're a pipe smoker that does enjoy it and does enjoy the ritual of it, you're not going to give up the pipe when it is cold outside. So take care. The number one thing we'll talk about is like caring for where you're storing your pipe, right? So a lot of folks are used to, because they're so sensitive to smell, or maybe their spouse is sensitive to smell or something like that, they keep their pipe outside. It's something that a lot of folks will do. They'll keep it on their porch, on their patio, just something, maybe not in the rain.
This is a thing.
It's a thing. So people keep it outside a lot because they're just the people they're around, maybe if it's coworkers or spouses or whatever, they might just be sensitive to the smell of the bowl. So one thing, the biggest no you can do during cold weather, and really any kind of weather,
because it fluctuates.
It fluctuates. It's a humidity issue. It's a temperature issue. We're talking about just keeping it outside. It's just a particularly sensitive in terribly cold weather. And so if you insist on bringing your pipes outside, you're going to have to at least warm your pipe up before you load it and light it. Like, it's one of those things where the pipe, the temperature change for the pipe doesn't need to be immediate. It needs to be, if you're one of these people that's going to leave your pipe outside in, 25-degree weather, well, frankly, don't do that. But if you do that, if you do that, bring it inside first. And maybe hide it from your spouse, and then let it or maybe go sit in your car for a few minutes. But the idea is you want to get that pipe up to room temperature basically, and let it sit there for a while before you decide to load your pipe and light it. So it's one of those things. You just don't want to go from a super cold pipe to a really hot pipe.
Yeah, please. Yeah. And please take note. That's what you do if you did the wrong thing. Like, don't. I'm shocked.
Just bring your pipe in.
I'm shocked that people do this. No judgment, by the way. If you're listening and do this, but that's not right.
Well, but also think about it from a practical standpoint, right? So we've got a lot of listeners, and what they'll do, for instance, is they'll drive to work in the morning. Okay, let's say you live in Indiana, and it's the end of January, is just really cold, and your pipe is a part of your morning ritual. So you're driving into work smoking your pipe. Well, you're probably not going to take your pipe into work with you if you're working a real professional environment or something. Yeah, so you're going to leave it in your car, right? Well, basically your car, in that kind of environment might as well be outside, right? And so, I've got my pipe. I just, smoked it on the way to work. It's going to sit in my vehicle for 8 or 9 hours. So it's going to get frozen basically, and then I'm going to light it back up on the way home. These are no-nos, right? But from a practical standpoint, it's something you have to worry about, because a lot of times you won't want to take your pipe in, or you aren't even allowed to, at certain jobs.
Well, you get a nice leather case for it, make it nice and tight on the inside.
See, in Mississippi, we can get away with that kind of stuff, but in other places, they don't let you on work job campuses, if or even school campuses, if there's some kind of tobacco-free policy or something like that. So you got to
know.
Bring your that's the thing, right? No, that's the thing. As someone that smoked my pipe avidly when I was in seminary of all places,
right.
On a tobacco-free campus. Now, granted, these were Presbyterians, so they kind of were like, it's tobacco-free. You got an extra one, right?
Exactly. Is that free tobacco? That's what this?
No, exactly. Right. So, anyway, it's just one of those things that you need to keep in mind, the effect that the cold itself is having on your physical pipe. So, generally bad idea, the temperature change there. The moisture that is left in your pipe can actually freeze. The saliva moisture, leftover, moisture from tobacco, it can actually freeze. And so you just want to be aware of that. And so, it's just a good idea if you are going to, smoke outside regularly during the winter months, and you insist on leaving your pipe in that kind of environment, whether it's in your car or on your porch. Just make it a cheap pipe. Make it a inexpensive pipe. Or some of our favorite pipes for these kind of events are cob pipes. We love them because they're great smokes, but also they're inexpensive. And so if the stem gets loose, it's something you can either replace or get a new one pretty, relatively easily. And that's kind of a nice segue into what's the best material to smoke. So, okay, you've got to, where you're going to keep your pipe. That's one thing, but okay, I'm going to smoke my pipe. I'm taking my pipe inside. I'm being responsible and all this stuff. Now, what's the best kind of pipe to smoke in cold weather?
Okay.
And so, typically we love corn cobs. We love them because they are incredibly durable. And again, if you have any kind of issues with weather related stuff, whether it's rain, sleet, snow, temperature changes, cobs are durable, and because we love them so much and they're so affordable, we can own a bunch of them. They're great, and so you can leave one in your car and not have to worry about
I
it.
do have. So as you were saying, the car situation was like, yeah, I got one of my I got one of my Missouri meerschaums out in the car right now, and it's always there.
No, that's it. That's it. It's just a great go-to pipe, and one of those places. There's no reason. We're not even in the part of the show where we talk about Missouri meerschaum, but there's a reason that people buy so many of them.
Absolutely.
And then it's kind of like reading glasses. I'm gonna leave one next to the couch and one in the car console.
Good comparison.
I'm gonna leave one in my my desk at the work, and all these places. It's just Missouri meerschaums. You can do that, right? And so something to think about. They also can handle the weather nicely. Meerschaum pipes are generally thought of as a no-no in very cold conditions. Now, what's interesting is that a meerschaum pipe by itself are known, as soon as you just have a dramatic temperature change like that, they'll just shatter, almost like burst. What's fascinating is that meerschaum lined briars, on the other hand, tend to be great for smoking in the wintertime.
Really?
And so you've got this kind of conundrum. It's like, well, you don't want to smoke just necessarily a straight up meerschaum, because they're kind of known to break a lot in really, really cold conditions. But a meerschaum lined briar can be really handy. The reason, typically when it's cold, it's very windy, at least in a lot of parts of the country. You've got a coldness, but there's also that wind that's just kind of whipping, bringing in that cold air. And so the meerschaum lining in the briar can actually protect the briar from burning out. And when wind goes over the top of a pipe bowl, your biggest fear there, and a lot of reason people use a wind cap, which we'll get to in a little bit, is that they're afraid that the wind will make the fire so hot that it'll burn the pipe out. Well, meerschaum protects it from that, and so as long as the meerschaum is encapsulated in that briar, the meerschaum lined briars, they can be really good options for smoking your pipe outside in the windy cold.
So I
it's
guess
just kind of an interesting, interesting tidbit.
So a pure meerschaum pipe being a little bit more delicate when it comes to the temperature change, is it because it's so porous?
I'm actually not sure, but you got to think there's something about maybe the moisture that has gotten through the meerschaum or something, because the meerschaum is almost like a hard sponge, so the moisture is kind of seeped through there.
Yeah.
Maybe when that moisture gets hot on top of just the fragility of the material itself. I don't know, but it is kind of known to be a thing. Meerschaum just if you just go outside and smoke in your meerschaum pipe, if you particularly if it's a real dramatic temperature change, the cold is just really hard on a plain meerschaum.
I do think of meerschaum as being a little bit more brittle.
Sure, yeah. And it is, yeah. So something to think about. If you are going to smoke a briar pipe, it's often recommended to smoke in cold weather a briar pipe that has a real thick, kind of a chunky frame. It's one of those things. If you smoke a real thin walled briar, you're just likely to experience. You're more likely to experience burnout than you would, with something that's got a thicker bowl. And also a lot of times in the cold, it's clumsy. You might have gloves on or something like that, and so you might be more likely to drop your pipe. And frankly, those larger pipes, sometimes are a little more durable. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind. And it's a good idea to obviously use lighters in the cold weather. A lot of times when we're talking about the cold and there's wind, a lot of times we're talking about cold and there's wind. You don't. You're going to shy away from matches. The likelihood that you're going to use a match is just very, very small. Again, we don't encourage people to use torch lighters, even though some of our listeners do on their pipe. And we've just seen too many torch lighters damage pipes. If that's your thing, go for it if you will. We just don't really recommend it. But a good butane lighter works great. The thing about butane, though, in the cold, butane really needs to be room temperature to be lit. And so, a lot of times you'll get these lighters. I've got my little Zippo here that's got the butane insert, and a lot of times if this is too cold, it won't light. And other lighters are that way. Basically, to go from liquid to gas, it's got to be warm enough to do that. Otherwise, it wants to stay in that liquid form.
I never knew that.
Yeah, and again, I'm not a chemist. I'm just a armchair armchair chemist, and
right.
and so it's I don't know why that is, but it does seem to be that butane lighters, they like to, in order to operate properly, they like to be room temperature. And so you're going to want to, even if you're keeping your pipe outside, you're going to want to definitely keep your lighter with you inside. So that's one of those things. Keep it in your pocket, put it in your briefcase, keep it, in a place where it's just going to be protected from the elements. And if it does get cold, you're literally going to have to warm your lighter up. And a lot of times, right after I fill a lighter with butane gas, I'll actually, in order to make it work right, I'll actually rub it between my hands to kind of make it, just make it warm up there, properly. So, and then once you get it kind of, room temperature, it's much more likely to strike, and work easily.
So this is a dumb question, but Bic lighters would also be butane lighters?
Oh, well, Bic lighters, if I can speak right, Bic lighters use lighter fluid, and they're fine. They're not refillable. We have a lot of our listeners and friends use Bic lighters. The reason most people don't when they're smoking a pipe, again, is just because your thumb and
char
the top and all that stuff. But yeah, if
I don't care.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. If those aren't issues for you, which a lot of folks they're not, then go for it. Yeah,
I'm sitting here judging people for leaving their pipes outside, and I'm charring the edge.
Yeah, charring the edge of your, exactly.
Hold your emails. I realize that I'm
you're just this bastion of consistency, bro. It's fantastic.
But is it the same principle though with lighter fluid as it would be for butane?
Lighter fluid seems to be more forgiving.
Okay.
On that, and even think about just I'm sitting here using my Zippo with the butane insert that we sell, but the Zippo with just the lighter fluid insert, that's going to strike anytime. I mean, that's just one of those that's just going to strike immediately. So I'm not as familiar with how it works on the what you call it, Bic lighters and things of that nature. But my assumption is it would be pretty easy. So
gotcha.
Other options too, wind caps are really helpful. Again, just as it gets more windy outside, you're going to want to, particularly if it's a nice briar pipe, you're going to want to protect the wood from the elements. And so, and that, frankly, a lot of people down here, we don't think about it very often, but that includes sleet and snow, and also the wind. And so, think about that. Wind caps, it's a lot of folks don't realize the utility of a wind cap. We talked about it recently on our show about driving or diving while piping, or our driving while smoking your pipe episode, and that was they're really, really helpful there. There's other places you can use a wind cap. Really, if you haven't ever gotten a wind cap, just snag one. They're under $3. You can try them out and just see if it's not a lot of money to waste if you wind up not using it as much. But I think it's a helpful tool to have in your tool bag. Other things you might think about are when you're outside, pack your pipe in half bowls. A lot of times, if you have a large bowl pipe, people, when you're in the cold, you're just not going to enjoy it as much because you're freezing. and so pack a half bowl. If you get through that half bowl and you want to keep smoking your pipe, load it back up and do it again. Another half bowl, but that way you're not wasting too much tobacco with that. Walking or moving while you're smoking your pipe in the cold, lunting is a great thing to do in the cold weather because you're staying active. A lot of people recommend, just those kind of the warmth that, the scarf and your, cap and everything gives you, and mixed with smoking your pipe is just kind of a nice reward for being out there in the cold. And another thing too that a lot of folks have mentioned, which I thought was interesting, and I never really thought about, but because we just don't use a lot of cold weather clothing down here, right? But in other parts of the country, gloves are a lot more important article of clothing than they are here. We just you don't see people walking around wearing gloves a lot in the South because it just doesn't really get that cold, so we don't really have them.
Another reason why the snow terrifies us because we're like, we don't know how to, we don't.
What do I do with my hand?
Yeah, exactly. We don't have the equipment for this.
Exactly. We just, it's just one of those things. It generally doesn't get that cold, so we don't have a lot of this
right.
this apparel. So one thing that our listeners in other parts of the country have mentioned before is that smoking your pipe often is easier when you have fingerless gloves. And so think about those gloves that, where the fingertips are cut off. And that just allows you to get to your little tools easier, get to your lighter easier, your tamper, pick out your, if you got one of those small tampers that are attached to your lighter and it's kind of, you have to use your fingernails to get in there and pull it out. It's going to be clumsier if you have if you're wearing gloves that aren't, have those finger coverings. So, just one more thing to keep in mind. But
that's good.
Anyway, so just some general housekeeping, some good tips for smoking your pipe when it's chilly outside, and also caring for your pipe and places where to store them and keep them safe.
So. All right, so I got one other question. So do you think that Morta, because oftentimes we compare Morta to Meerschaum in terms of similarities in terms of smokability, but I would imagine it's quite different when it comes to dealing with the cold.
Yeah, now I would think Morta, being basically a semi-petrified wood, I would it's closer to a stone, like a hard stone.
It ain't gonna be
than
brittle.
Anything. Yeah, I just don't. I think Morta would most likely hold up fine. Let me people, when I say stuff like this, people think, oh well, John David said this, so it must be true. I've never smoked a Morta when it's really cold. All the Morta pipes I have are very, very large. I really tend to smoke my Mortas when it's warmer outside and I've got a really long time to spend doing that kind of thing. But so I don't have personal experience with it, but I would think that Morta would do just fine in in the cold environment.
Oh, so, right on.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, man, the advice that you've given tonight is nothing short of legendary.
It's so weak.
That was kind of weak, right? let's try this again.
You did. You're on the right track.
No. The thing is, you buried the lead early on because, of course, you've already talked about when it comes down to it, cold weather, the pipe that you need to go to is a good quality corncob pipe, like the legend from Missouri Meerschaum,
which is legendary.
It is legendary.
That's right. The legend at Missouri Meerschaum. We love this pipe. It is a pipe we've talked about a lot before, and of course, one of the best-selling pipes from Missouri Meerschaum. It's a real classic pipe, very simple billiard shape. It's got a generous medium-sized bowl.
This does have a nice chunky bowl
with an amber stem. Yeah, a lot of corncob pipes. The bowls are either really large or really small. This one is a very traditional size, medium shape. So just real handy. It's just kind of an average, 5.5, 6 inch long pipe. Really, real simple. You got a straight stem and a bent stem. These have the option of using the cotton filter that we know and love, and that's another option too that can keep your smoke, real dry and cool. If you do choose to use a filter. So great options. A lot of folks, they'll take the straight pipe and they'll dedicate it to aromatics or non-aromatics, and then they'll take the bent pipe and and dedicate it to the other one. And that way you kind of always know which one to turn to, regardless of the tobacco that you're smoking. So
yeah,
just a great pipe, very affordable, retails for under $10. And it's one of those that, man, you can, like we talked about earlier, get you one of those bags of seconds of them. You can put one next to your what next to your fireplace, one next to your car console, and one next to the bathroom by the Reader's Digest, if you want to. So just a great pipe to have in your collection.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved that comparison to the reading glasses too, and just in terms of having it wherever you can get it. I always have a couple extra Missouri Meerschaum pipes in case I've got a friend who's never smoked a pipe before. It's like, oh, hey, let's do this right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get this going. So check out a legend. If you've got a legend from Missouri Meerschaum, be sure to smoke it this week. Tweet that to us. We love to retweet those out because it is a great way to let the good folks at Missouri Meerschaum know you appreciate them for sponsoring this show. Pipe question of the week is in my show notes. There we go. Pipe question of the week this week comes in from Frank in Mississippi. He says, what is the worst/weirdest pipe-related question you've gotten from a customer at the Squire?
Yeah, so
this is kind of like almost like a little mini Tales from behind the bar.
It
right?
kind of is, right? So as I'm thinking about this question, okay, what's the worst/weirdest pipe question you've gotten at the Squire? Okay, like, well, where do I start, right? Gosh, I almost feel like I should save this for one of our pet peeves episodes. Probably the worst I felt after someone asked me a question. The worst I felt after someone asked me a question was when they walked in the store and they came up to me and they said, "Hey, John David, you talk a lot about your Bing's favorite, about how much you love it. Do you have it with you? Can I see it? I'm interested in getting one." And so this person, I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to show it to you." And you go to my little personal pipe collection and pull out my at the time the only one I had, it was my rusticated Bing's favorite, and I pulled out, and the guy's looking at it, and he's like, "Yeah, I just showed him my personal collection, personal pipe. We're in my store. The way I pay bills is by selling these things, right?" And he looks at me and says, "Yeah, I just this website is running a sale on these.
Oh my God.
And I think I want to get one, but I wanted to look at yours
what?
first." And I think that's the worst. That's probably the worst I've ever felt. That's probably the worst I've ever felt after
Wow.
and what was great, our good friend Butch Arthur was here at the time, and he was sitting right next. I was behind the bar. The guy was across the counter, and Butch was sitting right next to him. And Butch put his hand up and he said, "No, you don't do that." And of course, little.
That's how you look out for your local retailers.
No, but see, it's sweet. It's precious little, fragile. Fragile little codependent John David who doesn't want to offend anyone. I probably wouldn't have said anything, but Butch came to my defense. It was nice. And
good.
You know what? Because of Butch, I sold that guy Bing's favorite.
Hey, there we go. There we go. Man, that's hilarious.
It was pretty good. Yeah. One of the weirdest experiences, and I can't tell this whole story on air because we're a family-friendly, work-friendly podcast. But this guy came in and he bought a pipe from, let's just call it, a place that doesn't sell reputable things.
They don't sell pipe tobacco.
They don't sell pipes or pipe tobacco or anything, and the things they do sell we can't talk about.
All right,
on
Country
Country Squire.
Fair enough.
And I didn't know that. He was asking about this pipe. It's like, why can't I get it to smoke right? It's got this metal lining inside, and I'm like, well, sir, you've got a pipe that's made for smoking something other than tobacco. And I was like, where'd you get it? And he said, well, I bought it at the shop, and the name of the shop is let's just say a place that if your wife saw your car in front of, you would have major issues here locally in Jackson. And what was funny, when he told me that's where he got his shop, the gentleman's wife was standing right next to him in the store. And she turned a shade of red I have never seen before on a human face. It was really, so that was one of the weirder encounters I've had with someone. Here at Ye Old Pipe Shop.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
Regarding a pipe question. So I don't know. That's what I got tonight.
Oh, that's good. Man, look for a new Beyond the Bar. What was the pipe shop peeves coming soon?
I don't know. I mean,
these are always
there's always lots of material there.
Well, great pipe question. Hey, if you got a pipe question of the week, send it in to us. We love getting those in. show@countrysquireradio.com. That's show@countrysquireradio.com. Quickfire question. Ow! All right, man. Quickfire questions, of course, brought to us by the 10 Society. More on that great service in just a moment. But first, here's this. Okay, these quickfire questions were written in by Jim Friedman. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, bud.
There's a theme. The theme is getting healthy. So
I don't know anything about that.
I need to get back to
I am drinking my Diet Coke here tonight, so.
What happened to the beer? Did you pour it in the Diet Coke?
I'm really thin, but my kidneys won't work in 30 years. So yeah, there's that.
All right, here we go. High protein diet or low fat diet?
High protein, I guess. I kind of eat whatever I want, but I guess
hate you so much.
I don't know. The difference is I don't eat a lot. I don't even.
For those who've not seen, John David is a very healthy looking man, and he has consistently always been.
But it's on accident. I no, seriously, I think these diets now are really, they're all about what do they call it? Some kind of fasting, like where you starve yourself basically for a big portion of the day.
Yeah.
Well, I just naturally live that way. Like I starve between about 10 at night until about 2 p.m. the next day. And now they've made a diet based on that. And so I should really have credit for all these diets where people are just starving themselves.
Yeah, I think I probably so whenever I do kind of the diet lifestyle, so to speak, I tend to just kind of cut back on portions as opposed to eat certain things or not eat certain things. I guess if I'm not eating certain things, it's gonna be like sweets and that sort of deal. As I ate a bunch of M&Ms before the show went live tonight, but I'll go with low fat. I'll go with low fat. All right, aerobic exercise or weight training?
Weight training. Running is bad for your knees, and I'm convinced that it is been thrust upon us by a bunch of communists that want to make us feel guilty about ourselves. And I am against running. And I think if you are a runner and say you like it, you're lying.
When someone comes to you and says that they want to go for a run with you, you walk briskly in the opposite direction.
Walk.
Briskly.
Briskly.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's the key element there. Right.
So for me, it is definitely aerobic exercise. Let me tell you, I love the feeling that I get after I've run and I've forgotten the fact that I just ran. It's so wonderful. But no, I'm not a big fan of running, but I try to do it.
It's just the worst.
I try to do it every single day.
It's just the most defeated I've ever felt has been either running or on the golf course. Like I ever felt in my whole life, the most emasculated, just defeated, worthless as a person. Most of those experiences have happened while or after running.
See, I can't do the weight training. Weight training is too like you have to all right, work this muscle and this muscle and this muscle and this muscle and do this. And like if I just run, then I just run for 30 minutes and it's over. There wasn't any math involved. You know what I mean? All right. Vitamins or eating your veggies?
I like vegetables.
Yeah,
I go with vegetables.
Eat your veggies, kids.
Yeah.
Work out with others or working out by yourself?
With others. That's the only way I'll ever do it is if I go with someone.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, it won't happen because I have to have the shame of someone saying, "Hey, you didn't show up today." That has to be behind it.
Got to
right?
get that accountability.
Yeah, the accountability. Otherwise, I'll be like, "Well, those Jim Gaffigan skits where he talks about working out, and he's like, well, I just started my workout routine for the year yesterday,' and he's like, well, maybe I'll start it tomorrow,' and then he's like, I'm okay with being fat."
For me, it's by myself, and mostly because I've got to zone out while I'm working out just to get through it. Like I have to listen to a book on tape or get like some music or something of that nature.
Yeah.
So I'm by myself. And then finally, losing weight to fit into your pants or just buy new pants.
I'm so cheap. I'll have the pants altered.
Oh,
and I've done that many times.
Really?
And I've had pants altered I've got pants that I have worn literally like freshman year of college and still wear because they've been altered.
Yeah. So as anyone who's tuned into this show for the live show over the last couple of years, you know that I kind of go through phases in terms of the way that my body is. And so a large part of that.
We should have like a little collage thing.
No, let's not do that. And look, that's not even like a challenge to the audience. Please, I'm asking you as a friend, don't do that.
For the love of the Lord, don't do that.
But I will say this. I will confess this. I've got maybe like 2 or 3 pairs of pants, and so I know if I'm wearing one, it's like, I need to make sure I'm watching what I eat because I'm getting into the fat pants.
It's that season, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I've got to upgrade to the middle set.
So I've been back and forth enough so that now I know based on what fits. I was like, okay, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Okay, this isn't great, but this is fine. And now it's like, oh, okay. Well, these fit. That's a problem. So that's where I'm at. But yeah, these are great quick fire questions, all about living a healthy lifestyle. And again, those come from Jim Friedman, and the sponsor for Quickfire Questions, of course, our good friends at the Tin Society.
The Tin Society, that's right, man. We love the folks at the Tin Society, and you've been hearing us talk about them all year so far this year. We're so excited to have them on board here at the Country Squire and with Country Squire Radio. It's such a novel concept, right? It's one of those things that we've been all craving for. How do you try all these delicious tobaccos, but not go broke just because you buy every single shiny, beautiful, collectible-looking tin that you see? I just want all of them, right? Well, the good thing is with the Tin Society, you can try a whole bunch of them and it won't break the bank. So for just a really reasonable price, man, the folks at the Tin Society, they'll send you a package every month. And it's got several different tobaccos in there that you can try. Each sample size is good enough for about 3 bowls of pipe tobacco, and you're going to get just a really nice sampling of some of the greatest, most respectable, popular tobaccos in the world. And this way, you have the opportunity to smoke tobaccos without having to spend, $15, $20, $25 in some cases on a tin, just to decide that you don't like it. These tins they're closed. Even if you come into the shop like the Country Squire, before you can, you smell the tin, you have to purchase the whole tin. It's not like you can just open it up and smell it. Well, the folks at the Tin Society, they'll let you try a little bit before you commit to buying the whole thing. And so it's just a great opportunity to try a whole bunch of tobaccos. You can figure out what you like. Always get exposed to something new and different. Think about how many tobaccos there are out there. You could smoke 3 every day for the rest of your life, and you still wouldn't reach the bottom of the pile. There's just so many, and the folks at the Tin Society really help you sample a lot of the great ones out there.
Broaden that palette out, man. Like, yeah, man. It's been great to see folks on Twitter as they're getting their Tin Society boxes in, and sampling different things, sharing the fact that they got it from the Tin Society. It's a great unboxing opportunity too, as you kind of go through them. Those of you in the YouTube pipe community, and that sort of thing. That let us know if you're doing that, and if you heard about them from Country Squire Radio, let them know. In fact, if you use the code Squire, you get 20% off on your first month's order, and also you get a free Missouri Meerschaum pipe.
That's right.
So again, that's using the code Squire at tinsociety.com. Tinsociety.com. Use the code Squire for 20% off on your first month's service. Listener feedback. All right, man. Listener feedback coming in from Robin Co. The Robin Company.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what that means. It says, great podcast. Recently fell into this podcast. It's a new-ish pipe smoker. Love the laid-back vibe and great info that the guys have. Now working my way through the archive. Well, welcome, Robin. And as you go further and further back,
they get worse and worse.
We're very sorry about that. What if people tell us that's not the case, though? What if we've gotten worse progressively?
That may be true.
That might be the case.
And these people support us because they are
feel sorry for us.
They might actually be giving to Patreon to so that we can go get mental professional psychological help.
Yeah, there might be,
which actually is probably a good idea.
Wow,
it's probably a pretty good idea.
What if all of this is just an elaborate, like, maintaining of the illusion?
It's like a therapy session. It's like, well, we know those guys will explode if we don't listen to them.
Oh my gosh. You know what? We will. Please listen and tell your friends about this show. I'll take that.
That's right.
This next one comes in from Jim Nelson. What did Jim have to say?
Jim, he says, on a previous show, you two wondered out loud if Diebel's was still around. Diebel's Smoke Shop, of course, this is in Kansas City. We talked about it on some episode a few weeks ago. I want to say it was where was that? I want to say it was the episode we talked about McClelland and some of the tobacco crisis going on. So anyway, so we talked about Diebel's and wondered if it was still around. It is indeed, but it is a good news, bad news story. They are now Diebel's Sportsman's Gallery and have 2 locations in Kansas City. My son, Chris, who also is an avid listener and customer of yours, ooh, we like that, thank you, said something along the line of it looking like a high-class Cracker Barrel lobby when you first walk in.
That sounds kind of awesome.
I could go with that.
Yeah.
He said that nails the ambiance there. They still have a good selection of pipes and still appear to blend their own pipe tobaccos. They have a limited selection of tin tobaccos, which a lot of the pipe shops nowadays don't have as many tins as they used to. The cigar humidor is huge, though. There is also a fair-sized private club type smoking lounge, but it's no longer a pipe shop. Pipes are clearly second in line. So, and it makes me sad every time I walk in. I suppose that, given what's happened to the pipe smoking culture since the 70s, the move to overpriced duck decoys and pretentious leather travel bags was inevitable. The good news is, if you need a barware sign, a pair of socks with bacon on them, or something crazy like that, I know a place on Country Club Plaza where you can get it, and that's from Jim Nelson.
I'll tell you what, I'll take them bacon socks.
Crazy socks are a thing now.
I'm kind of into
that's
it.
a thing now. Well, and again, in defense of Diebel's and other shops like them, and there's so many tobacconists, professional tobacconists throughout the past 30 years, 35, 40 years, have intentionally had to pivot away from pipes, because just to pay the bills, to stay afloat. I mean, we talk about, a shop like the Country Squire is so rare. There's just maybe literally a handful of smoke shops left in the United States where over 50% of their revenue come from premium pipes and pipe tobacco. I mean, it's just rare. Like, we are just one of a very few, and most of the people that went more heavily in cigars did it just to survive, I mean, it's one of those things, like, if you came out of the 1990s and you still did more than 50% of your business in pipes, you're a unicorn.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, but we're proud to be unicorns here at the Squire. But most shops just, they followed where the market was, and Diebel's was, obviously no different. And man, I'm sure it's a great shop, awesome history, and I love those shops too that kind of have that feel of, where you go in and, oh, wait, look, I'm here. I can buy, some gentleman stuff. They've got maybe some fountain pens or some shaving kits or, something. They also got pipe tobacco, and there's other shops around the country that have that kind of thing too. Even at the Squire, we sell beard oil and some little hats and stuff like that. Occasionally, we don't do a lot of that kind of stuff.
No bacon socks.
We don't have bacon socks though. So I mean, maybe we should take a hint from the good folks at Diebel's and see what we can do. Bacon socks are, I mean, that's good.
The culture surrounding the custom weird socks thing going on right now.
Yeah, it's a thing.
We may have to announce a new podcast, the Socks Podcast, which
Socks Appeal.
I'm thinking 3 times a week. Each episode is a deep dive, an hour and a half deep dive into a pair of socks. Are you in? Are you down? You're either in or you're out right now.
I'm out.
Okay.
Thoroughly. Of course, I tried to do that about 4 years ago when we started this little show called Country Squire Radio, and you just laid it on thick, and here we are. So I don't know, maybe 4 years from now we'll be having our weekly show, our 3 times a week show, Socks Appeal with Beau and JD. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh. Fund it. Oh, wow. All right.
Please don't.
Man, this has been a fun one tonight.
It's been good.
The tweets have been coming in. I've been seeing I see we got some new listeners tuning in for the live show tonight.
Yeah, it's really great. Our friend Chase Abels, he says 10 to 25 degrees on a clear night without much wind and snow on the ground is hands down the perfect smoking conditions to me. I'm assuming Chase is talking about, bundling up, going on a little stroll. You got your scarf and your cool newsboy hat on. You're walking down the street and you just feeling all warm. And a lot of that's because of your pipe. So, man, our friend Hoctor the Love Doctor, that's why you enjoy a nice corncob pipe from Missouri Meerschaum. You leave it in the car, temperature change doesn't harm it at all. And so he's probably right. The changes there. I mean, I imagine the stem will get affected to some degree, but it's, not as much as your ebonite stem with your briar pipe.
It's like a super pipe.
And of course, Pappy Joe, our dear friend, and one of our longest time listeners, and such a good friend of the shop and the show. He is wondering tonight if he should spend time watching Us Idiots or curling on the Olympics, and it appears that he chose curling. But but he you could multitask and do both. I just don't know which one is more destructive to your heart and embarrassing, watching us or watching curling.
I'm saying we provided tips for those that are actively curling, how to smoke your pipe while curling. That could have been the name of this episode. Honestly,
could have been smoking your pipe. We did a diving while diving while piping.
We got the Summer Olympics down. This is our Winter Olympics.
diving while piping, and now we did right. Yeah, we need a curling while piping.
Shout out to Byron Fist with a buddy tuning in live, enjoying a little White Rose, Missouri Meerschaum filled with Texas tea, and an unfinished Savinelli with White Rose. And and introducing a new friend to Country Squire Radio.
That's great.
So shouts out to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely, brother.
All right. Well, hey man, this has been a fun one. I didn't mention this comment because I have seen a few people tweeting in. Yes, I currently do not have any facial hair. Thank you all for not giving me too hard a time of that tonight.
I didn't do my job because I didn't give you a hard time.
Well, I wanted to address it here, buried at the tail end of the show. So, but
by this time, most people have tuned out.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my thought. But no, what happened was it was Valentine's Day, and I was trying to look less shaggy. I wasn't trying to like shave it off. I was just trying to look less shaggy. And then I ended up kind of carving a little bit too close to the chin, and it just didn't go. So it all had to go.
I have to say this before we get off the air. Our dear friend Brian Levine, you can follow him at My Own Opinion on Twitter. He says socks may not be the best thing to sell in Mississippi. Just saying.
What you saying?
What he's saying.
We got stuff on our feet.
What he's saying is, generally, if you're not wearing shoes, you really don't need socks.
I'm wearing shoes. Am I wearing socks with my shoes?
You're not.
I'm not. But still, we don't walk around barefoot, Brian.
Often.
Well, It's cold outside.
I know, right?
It's not cold outside. Stereotypes.
We love you, brother.
We love you so much. Love all of y'all, by the way. Thanks so much for tuning in and joining us here at the live show. We want to encourage those of you who've never done so before, join us for a live show. We'd love to have you on Monday nights where the show is broadcast 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 6:30 Pacific and 9:30 Eastern at countrysquireradio.com. You can also keep up with us throughout the week. I'm at The Real Beau York.
I'm at John David Cole, or you can get us at the shop at @_Country Squire.
Of course, all that information and more can be found at countrysquireradio.com. Well, man, even though we're about to walk out into this heat.
I know, right? Well, again, knowing Mississippi weather, we'll probably get one more good frozen spell before it's all over with. But, but going forward, it's good to know what to do when it gets cold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing you should never do when it gets cold with your pipe, don't let it go. It's frozen. Because let it go, let it go. You don't have young children at your house. Okay. All right, man. Let's go have a night.
See you, brother.
Bye, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining us.
It's always good to spend Monday night with y'all. It is a great, great blessing. So y'all have a good night. See you.